I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, September the 5th, brought to you in part by VitaFerm. VitaFerm Mineral quickly and naturally stimulates the digestive system with AObiotics and Amifirm. Cattlemen rely on VitaFerm for performance that pays. For more information, go to VitaFerm.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards, big special feeder flash Beaver Clash we've been talking about here for the last few weeks. Going to have it here on Tuesday. 3,000 head on offer. Be just a light offering of calves, maybe 400 calves at the most. There'll be mostly 5 to 7 weights and mostly unweaned. Not a big run of cows and nothing to speak of too much there. But 2,500 yearlings at least, mostly weighing from 600 to 900 pounds, mostly sold in loads. Heavy on the 8 weights. Lots and lots of loads of 8 weights, especially steers, guys. They do have one load of all natural heifers it's going to be selling, but they'll be getting on those big strings of yearlings here today on Tuesday, starting by 9 o'clock for sure. By 9:30 they'll sell some calves starting at 8. But get on to DVAuction.com, get approved. Check out that sale at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. Labor Day specials rescheduled, and we've always seen historically that Labor Day on Monday it was a big day for some of your big regional type sales to have a big special, but nearly all of them have quit them. And occasionally you used to see your big high volume sales have a sale on a Monday if Monday was their day. They've all stopped. So of course on Monday here, Labor Day, no sale in Oklahoma City, no sale in Joplin, and then typically we would see a big special at Torrington, Wyoming, and that was one of their biggest sales of the year. And we'd have lots to talk about Torrington. Well, they've rescheduled theirs to next Monday, September 11th, or this coming Monday, I guess now. And that is going to be a qualifying event for the World Livestock Auctioneer Championship, so that kind of made sense for them to do that. But Russell, Iowa always had a big barbecue special on Labor Day Monday. They have rescheduled theirs to this Monday the 11th also. Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri. Labor Day Monday was always a big sale for them, but it's just getting to the point to where it's hard enough to keep your health the way it is. And if you want to have a big sale like that, it doesn't matter what level the people are at, they still want to enjoy the holiday weekends too. And so it's harder to get them to show up to work. They've kind of got the leverage on their employer there, because if they don't want to work, it's going to be hard to have a sale without them. Some of the buyers are more apt to show up on a holiday than the guy that opens the gates. But the buyers are busy doing things with their family and friends too on the holiday weekend. So we've pretty much seen everybody back off of doing anything on Labor Day Monday, because that's a big holiday weekend. But not in Beaver, Oklahoma. Not a hell of a lot to do around there. We are having a Fair Peace dinner on Labor Day evening. I'm actually recording this early afternoon Labor Day because I am going to be traveling up to Beaver, Oklahoma. I'm going to be giving a presentation there for Fair Peace, and we're having a steak dinner. Going to have a lot of people on hand. Dr. Rodrigo that developed Fair Peace is going to be there. He's going to be giving a talk. And we're also going to have people there talking about LRPs, gross margin policies, things like that. Andy Cunningham's going to be there with Night Latch Group. So it's going to be a good gathering. Looking forward to that. It's going to be fun too, so not complaining about that at all. I'm looking forward to heading up there, but going to give you this kind of abbreviated report just leading up to this week getting started, but really nothing at all happened to speak of. Of course, the board was closed. No fat sales, no slaughter, hardly any sales open. I did see Gainesville, Missouri was open. Didn't see many other sale barns open for Labor Day Monday. So we're just going to get on and talk about your board for last week. October live cattle futures. October now, we were talking about August, but August went off the board at 179.72. And I'm afraid, well, I'm not afraid, but that is going to lend a little bit of a basis, I think, to some of your northern feeders, not the southern feeders, because they can't even reach that, but it's more guided to them, but it didn't help them out much on their basis. They lost about a buck or so on that. Talk about what happened on October live cattle contract. Monday was up 37, Tuesday down 7, Wednesday was down $1.42, Thursday came back up 77 cents, and Friday was down 67, with October live cattle ending the week at 180.15, down $1.02 for the week. December ended the week at 184.17. Feeder cattle for September now. August went off the board at 248.93, exactly where the CME cash feeder cattle index was. Wasn't a lot of trade there, but they're not going to exchange any money on the cash settlement there, but it always converges, which makes you think maybe it's not a bad idea to have a cash settlement. CME does not want any live cattle delivery, even though they offer it, but they do everything they can to stop any kind of delivery there, so you don't see it converge. And we don't really know what your live cattle contract is supposed to converge to anyway. Does it converge to the northern market? Does it converge to the southern market? This time it was a little bit in between, but it's kind of hard to say what that live cattle contract really is tied to. But your September feeder cattle started out on Monday last week up 307. You remember that? I didn't understand why. I didn't believe in it, and was pretty much right in that, because why would it come up? You remember corn was up, and then your feeder cattle contract opened the week up a bunch, but up 307 on Monday. Tuesday down a quarter. Wednesday down $1.40. Thursday was up 65 cents, and then Friday, September feeder cattle were down 142, ending the week at 251.85, up 65 cents for the week. October ended the week at 254.65. December, new crop corn 481.5 at the end of the week, down 7.5 cents for the week. Beans ended the week at 1369.25, down 18.5. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat for September ended the week down 33.5 cents a bushel at 720.5. Your fat cattle trade last week up through Thursday. We didn't see what happened on Friday, and then of course they were closed on Monday for the holiday, so come back with you on our next visit with the total roundup. But up through Thursday of last week, it sold 52,100 negotiated in your 5-area feeding region. It was lower, not a lot lower, but it did slip some lower. Live prices on fat steers and heifers in your 5-area feeding region ranged from 178 to 186. That was steady to $2 lower. Your weighted average up through Thursday was 182.69, with hardly any trade in the Southern Plains. There was more trade the previous week in the Southern Plains. So that was down about 6 cents, but we had some more trade on Friday that didn't get included in that weighted average, and it's going to pull it a little bit lower than that for the week all gathered up, and I'll tell you what that is on our next visit. But dress sales ranged from 288 to 294. That was a buck lower. Your weighted average on dress steers was 290.62, about $2 lower. So Friday we had a little dribble of trade. Iowa had 2,000 head sell on Friday that we know of. Could have been some more late Friday. 23,800 head for the week, which is kind of light for them. Live sales on Friday, 184 to 185, kind of down towards the middle, lower part of your range from last week. Dress sales 288 to 290, same thing there, working more towards the lower end of the price spread than the upper. Nebraska sold 700 on Friday, 18,800 head for the week, which is really light for them. The only live sale we saw on Friday in Nebraska was 181. That was off the market. I had one outfit sell some really good steers the 1,500-pound steers there, and they were placed in the over 80% choice category there, but also had some mixed bag cattle and things like that. They all sold at 181, kind of the Packers playbook. See how many planer cattle you can get on the negotiated price and help that work that lower. And they also got the good steers there too. 289 dressed and on Friday in Nebraska. Kansas sold 1,700 on Friday, 9,000 head for the week, which is not that much lower than typical for them for the week. But the heck of it is, Kansas got beat out by Texas in the market. How that happened, you tell me. But Kansas sold most of their live sales at 178. Just a few at 179, and most of those were on the Fed Cattle Exchange with a little bit of competition involved there, heaven forbid. But mostly 178 in Kansas. That's a buck lower. Texas sold most of their cattle last week at 179, which would have been steady. Texas sold a few more on Friday, 400 head. They only sold 5,400 head in Texas, but they were mostly all at 179. And we kind of see in the last few months Kansas breaking away from Texas, but to the high side. And then all of a sudden Kansas comes back and can't even get what Texas gets. Very, very confusing there, especially when the little dribble of trade, negotiated trade we see in the Southern Plains. To see Texas beat out Kansas was kind of odd. Box beef cutout values were lower last week. Your weighted average on all of last week's sales on choice cuts down 208 at 314.96. Select was down 43 cents on your weighted average, and that was at 290.17. Your late Friday sales on the box beefs were steady to weaker than that, than the weighted average there, but not much lower. But choice select spread on the weighted average movement was just under $25 with 501 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter, better than what they thought. 629,000 harvested last week on the estimate. And they were only guessing about 620, so that was better. But the 629,000 was up 3,000 from the previous week, down 13,000 from the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. I mentioned them a while ago, the Night Latch Group, and that's in western Oklahoma. Andy Cunningham there, and he can tell you about the LRPs. He can especially tell you about the convenience of gross margin policies, which he's figured out how to apply those to your operation, and you can hedge your corn and your cattle at the same time. He likes to use those. He also sells crop insurance, drought insurance. He can take care of everything. He wants you to hang on to your investment, hence the name Night Latch. For more information, go to nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 248.17. That was up 382 for the week. Pretty impressive gains there, as high as they are. But you know, your cash markets continue to trade at a discount to what your feeder board is, which, you know, the feeder board doesn't have a lot of teeth to it, but the cash prices just aren't quite that good. Now, we did see August feeder cattle back into CME cash feeder cattle index there at 248.93 to end that contract for August. But talk about your cash sales last week and your sale barns. Feeders going right into the feedlot sold $2 to $4 higher, pretty much right across the board. Calves were a little more uneven there, but where they were offered, especially weaned calves, they were sharply higher. But so many places just had a very, very light test of calves, and you really couldn't call a market on them. But to talk about some sales late in the week, like I said, it was very light late in the week. Your Friday sales didn't have very big runs. Saturday sales, some of them were open, some of them not. Fort Scott, Kansas was open, had a good sale, had one really impressive quote, and the market's really good on middleweight cattle right now, whether they be lighter weight yearlings or they be weaned calves with some size to them and not much flesh. That's what people are really going towards. Fort Scott, Kansas, they sold 63 steers, weighed 631 at 292 1/4. Very impressive quote there. Your National Beef Wire stick-out sale of the day for late last week was the Lexington Livestock Market in Lexington, Nebraska. They had a couple of thousand head on there, kind of a lighter run for their Friday sale. Most of them weighed, or a big percentage of them weighed between 950 and 1,000, and they were steers. 725 of them right here weighed from 950 to 1,000, sell from 237.50 up to 245.85. Monday sale, like I talked to you about a while ago, Gainesville Livestock Auction in Gainesville, Missouri. That's south central Missouri there. On Monday they had a sale including 84 steers, kind of like I was telling you earlier. There's middleweights, 605 pounds at 295.50. Impressive there. My buddy Justin Tupper up in St. Ange, South Dakota, they've recently added DVAuction broadcasting to their sale, and they had a sale on Friday. St. Ange Livestock, St. Ange, South Dakota, sold 68 steers, weighed 900 pounds smooth at 247. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere later last week and over the weekend, and it was actually last Wednesday, but didn't get the information. I don't get a lot of information out of Central Texas sales, and most of them sell them one at a time. But some of those sales, Sulphur Springs and now Navasota, they have these weaned calf specials, and when they have them and they bunch them up, they get rid of them really well. And your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day come out of Navasota Livestock Auction in Navasota, Texas. They had a weaned calf sale there. That's East Central Texas. 101 head of crossbred steers, you know what they'd be, weighed 551 pounds, bring $310. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.